Guys, something is going on in the world of beauty. It's a trend. And you remember when I said that trends have this unfortunate habit of starting off harmless and then ending up toxic? Well, it would seem that in this case, the pendulum has swung back, and I'm here for it. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you are good, hope you are well. So this beauty trend, so the thing is, it's not really a new trend because by definition, trends are things that go in and out and in and out. So nothing's really new. But I feel like when a trend is something like clothes, hairstyles, home decor, it's not a big deal when it goes out of style. It's expected and it's fairly easy, relatively easy to update. But when the trend is something that requires permanent or long-lasting procedures or alterations to yourself, and when that trend has like a social currency that has a big sort of effect or big weight when it comes to things like self-esteem, confidence, relationships, and just overall success, then I feel like the fact that it even sits under the category of trend is a problem. The fact that there's trend involved in this area of beauty and the fact that it can go in and out of style, I think that in itself is somewhat of a problem. But I come with good news. I've noticed something that's happening and it appears to be a trend, but it appears to be a good trend. And that trend is called Undo-Plasty. Okay, so technically, it's not called Undo-Plasty because technically, Undo-Plasty means to undergo cosmetic surgery to correct a previous cosmetic surgery, like that was over the top or botched or you just don't want it anymore. That's the technical definition of Undo-Plasty, but I like it. And I feel like it kind of applies to the trend I'm going to discuss now. So we're just going to stick with it. The trend I'm specifically talking about, yes, it does involve Undo-Plasty, but it's broader than that. And it is a trend where people are choosing to undo things like fillers, veneers, and opt for a more natural look. And it's happening a lot. I know every time frame, every decade has its problems, but around about a decade ago, I would say that like we were in some sort of anti-aging epidemic. I don't know if that's like what you'd call it, but everything was about anti-aging. Don't you remember hearing phrases like stop the clock? Like if you say to me, stop the clock, like I just think of beauty ads, those adverts where there's like anti-aging cream and this woman and they're like, stop the clock, turn back time. Those are phrases that we heard all throughout the 2020s or the 2010s or whatever. And by stop the clock, they meant stop your naturally aging face, like stop it and look younger. Fast forward to now and we have older men and women gracing the runways much more than they used to. And we have people going to the clinic, the same clinic that they went to get their fillers and their Botox and their injections and stuff. And they are opting to remove those things. How times have changed. Molly May is a really visible example of this. You might have seen it in the news, or if you follow her on YouTube, you might have seen it, but she's like vlogged her journey to removing her composite bonds and her jaw fillers and her lip fillers and opting for a more natural look. And she's not the only one. Even if we take a step back from like the invasive or the non-invasive procedures that people are getting done, even if you go on social media, there seems to be this trend of stripping back. There seems to be so much more backlash towards photo editing and filters. People are increasingly sharing unfiltered and unflattering photos of them. I've seen a rise anyway in like people showing Instagram versus reality, like what they might look like if they posed a certain way, but what they also look like if they relax. And people are being called out way more on any toxic rhetoric around image or beauty. Sometimes to a fault, but it's being called out. People are being checked basically for their use of language that might be deemed as, you know, too focused on outward appearance. But why? Why? Which is what I always question. And I have a theory, and to be honest, it's not even that profound of a theory. I think it's obvious, but I think it's the pandemic. We know that the pandemic stripped so much away from us, obviously on different levels, but there was definitely an element of stripping back. And as a result, we started to question everything. We questioned what was actually essential, hence essential workers rightfully being seen as heroes, whereas previously people in those roles might have been overlooked or even looked down on. We questioned what was necessary, hence people refusing to return to 5 days working in the city, 5 days commuting, 5 days spending 2 hours a day just commuting to work. And we questioned ourselves. So many of us had like life-altering revelations to some degree. And so it's no surprise that where we all stripped back in one way or another, some people also then took that strip back and stripped back physically. And like I said at the beginning, I am here for it. I'm obviously in no way against beauty as a whole in the beauty industry. Like I very much kind of subscribe to it, but I'm here for this because I assume that this stripping back and this like sort of being ourselves in our more natural state more often and be more open to being or presenting ourselves that way, I'm assuming, I have no evidence, but I can assume that it's linked to, I don't know, an improvement in self-esteem and mental health and all-round well-being, hopefully. And little side note, I did do some research, and this trend might also potentially, possibly, actually help us be more successful. Having a more natural face and having less sort of visible procedures or treatments or whatever done to ourselves could actually make us more successful. I don't know if it's a reach, but this is the research that I did, and I'm gonna explain it to you. There is evidence that suggests that the lines that appear on our face naturally, the lines that for so long we've tried to erase, those lines actually might have a positive effect on how people perceive us. There was a recent study that focused on the Duchenne, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, Duchenne smile, which essentially means like how genuine is your smile. Participants were shown photographs of people, and the people that had like more lines around their face, their eyes and their lips and their mouth and stuff, they were not only perceived to be happier, but they were also perceived to be more sincere. And the professor that led this study basically concluded that constriction of the eyes is its own language, and those lines speak something. And so when people can see lines in your face, they just I guess they're more warming or welcoming of you, because they just feel like there's some sincerity in you and that there's some life and some happiness in you, which makes sense. And you know, we've all seen people that maybe have gone overboard with like Botox or fillers, and they do lose, well, in my opinion, I feel like they do lose a sense of their humanity. Is that the word? Humanity, or like their humanness, basically. So I think, I don't know if that's a reach. I know beauty still has its problems, and I know there's pretty privilege and all that kind of stuff, but like, I hope this trend, I hope it stays. But what do you think? Let me know. Are you seeing this trend? Is it just me? Are you yourself? Are you stripping back? Have you noticed yourself stripping back? I also read a study that there was like, understandably, but over the pandemic, there was a decline in the sale of makeup, but there was an increase in the sale of skincare. So now people are like, rather than trying to mask or reverse time or whatever, they are just trying to preserve or make the most of what they naturally have. But yeah, are you seeing it, or are you seeing the opposite? Correct me if I'm wrong. As always, let me know what you think in the comments down below. I always love to hear your opinions, because I say it all the time, my subscribers are the smartest. So yeah, comment down below. And if you like this topic, then you will love the one I did on beauty standards. So I will link that right here. As always, like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.